Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. We first grew to love her as Betty Draper on Mad Men, but for the last 4 years, January Jones has been delighting us with an incredible ensemble cast on Fox's Last Man on Earth. Let's take a look at a clip.
Hey, girl.
Oh, hey, Melissa, what's up?
I just wanted to thank you.
Oh.
Todd's smiling again. He's laughing. He's happy. And it's all because of you.
Oh.
You're just an angel.
I'm not an angel.
You are. You are.
Okay. Well, thanks.
God, I just feel so close to you. Like, we've been friends for a while now, but I think now it's time for us to be friends. Friends, you know?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because, like, when's the last time we just dished? Or did, like, really silly girly stuff? Like, lip synced into a wooden spoon, or just, I got tangled up in ribbons.
Oh, I think never?
What do you say we boogie down the street, get some candles, burn them down, and make new candles? Am I right, queen?
Yeah. You know, I think I'm just gonna stay here and fold clothes.
That is so you. You're so funny. God, you just put me in such a silly mood. Like, I just want to, like, wear a giant tie.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll see you later.
Yeah, you will.
January Jones, everybody. Hey there.
Hi.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on 4 seasons now, right?
No, it's strange.
Yeah,
it's gone on longer than any of us thought we'd be allowed to be on air.
Is that true?
Yeah, I believe so.
Do you guys still have instances where you're shooting, you're doing a scene, and you're like, I can't believe
That we're allowed to air this?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it gets cut.
Really?
I think so. I mean, it's Fox, so we have to go through a certain amount of approvals. So, but Forte fights really hard for a lot of the jokes, so
Yeah.
I think it's a little edgier than most comedies on.
Oh, I would totally agree. Every time I watch it, I have a feeling of like, I can't believe they let this on a major network. Not just because it's sort of edgy humor, but because it's weird humor. It's a very specific, weird kind of humor. It's my kind, but...
Well, I think it relates to a lot of people, which says a lot about all of us.
We're all
and
weird.
our weirdness. Yeah, it's great. And I think the age ranges too. I mean, because I know a lot of younger kids, boys specifically, like 9, 10, 11-year-old boys really relate to just his shenanigans.
Well, I do. Does that mean that I have an inner 9, 10, 11-year-old?
I think, yes, a lot of people do. I mean, fart joke humor.
Oh, everybody loves a fart joke.
Right.
If you don't love a fart joke, you don't like jokes.
My show. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you a big fart joke person before the show?
Reluctantly, and now, yes, 100%. I mean, I've had to. Forte farts every day, like on cue.
Literally.
Well, Mary Steenburgen bet him a long time ago that he couldn't fart at least once a day in front of someone so that, you know, we could hear it. And so at once per day, he comes running up to, ideally her, because I don't want any part of it. But I'm there a lot of the times, unfortunately. And he's like, Mary, Mary, Mary. And then he'll fart and then just be really proud and walk away. It's a gift. It's our true gift.
So it's a really fun set.
It's a really funny set. Yeah, we have a lot of fun. It's a joy to go to work. It's not emotionally draining in any way.
No, it seems it's rare that you can watch a show and feel like, oh, it looks like everybody's having a good time making this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we all do, I think. I mean, Will, because he's so much a part of writing and editing and everything, he's running back and forth, but it's his baby, so he loves it too. But at the end of the season, he's exhausted. Yeah. But yeah, we all have a blast.
Now, there was a lot of humor on Mad Men, a different kind of humor,
Yeah.
obviously. But when you signed on to do this show, were you nervous at all jumping into this kind of world? Did you feel comfortable in it immediately?
Well, yeah. I mean, I started my career in comedy, so I think, if anything, I was more nervous taking on a role like Betty Draper than jumping into this. And also, by the time Mad Men had ended, I was ready for something a little bit lighter, something a little bit less serious and emotional, I guess. And so this felt like a perfect. I mean, if it was any other show, I don't think I would have done it. But
Really?
no, well, I had just left like at the time the best TV show ever, and I wasn't truly. I don't think I wanted. Wasn't looking to do another show, but when this came around and Will had asked about coming in for a role, and I read it, and it was just so funny and different in a way that I thought I kind of had to do it.
Were you, had you worked with Will before? Did you know him?
Only on SNL.
Right, I thought
and he's a friend, so I've known him for ages, but the only time I'd worked with him before was on SNL.
And he came to you kind of personally and you...
Yeah, we had the same agency and they just said, Will called me and they approached me first with the script and then Will called to just kind of give an extra push.
Yeah. And what did he say to you about the show? Like what was his vision that you saw right away?
Well, just that it was something unique, and he had said that they had already shot the first 2 episodes, and they were in a bind. They couldn't find the character. They couldn't find a girl to play the character of Melissa the way that they wanted it to, and so I came in and I read for the Fox producers, and then the next, literally that was like a Friday, and Monday we started shooting.
And now, did they know right that at that moment when they brought you in that you were going to become a series regular? Were you already written as a series regular? Yeah. So that was a decision. That was like a big decision that you had to make because now this is going to be 7 seasons that you have to sign on for, right?
Yeah, but because, and I had the same feeling about Mad Men. Because it was something so different and so unique, I didn't think that there would be an audience for it, so I sort of figured I'd do, a couple episodes and that would be it. And like Mad Men, it's ongoing, so it's good. It's great.
So the lesson learned is like the next time when you see something and you're like, oh, everybody is gonna love this.
The next time I feel like something's gonna flop, I should do it.
You shouldn't do it.
I should.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
Because it'll go on.
I feel like, who's gonna watch? Because when Mad Men came out too, it's like, who would watch? The pace was so much slower than we had been used to at the time, and it was a time period that what person would be interested in that unless they'd lived through it. But even then, it was like it showed it wasn't like a 1960s movie that was all glamorous and lovely. It was pretty dark.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know who would be into that.
Can I ask, what did you think the first time after you guys shot the Mad Men pilot and you saw it for the first time? What were your first thoughts?
It was as good as I assumed it would be.
Yeah. Because it's one of those pilots that you talk to writers, and as a writer...
it was like nothing I've ever written, movie or TV.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Well, any writer will tell you, if I'm writing a show or a movie and I have a problem, go back and watch the Mad Men pilot. The answer is somewhere in there. It's one of the most beautifully written... or read it.
Yeah. And then after we shot the pilot... And again, I was only at the very, very end of the pilot, and I didn't know what the Betty role was going to evolve into, if anything. And Matthew Weiner promised it would be something. And so in between shooting the pilot and shooting the second episode, there was a year. And I'd sort of forgotten about it. And then when they were like, it got picked up, you're going to start, and then I saw the second script, and Betty was in it heavily, and she had all these psychological, all these issues and
was the second episode the one where she shoots the plates, or was that further into the first season?
The birds? No, that was later. That was like 8.
Oh, okay.
Episode 8 or 9 of the first season. No, the second episode is basically Dawn's domestic life mostly, and you find out that she's harboring something. She has like a shaky hand. There's all this stuff, but I almost had a panic attack when I've never had one, but I felt like I almost did.
Because there was so much.
I was super nervous, and it was just, I felt unprepared to do what he was asking of me. But he's always made me feel that way, and has always pushed me past my safe boundaries and gotten the best performances probably because of that.
I always wondered how you felt as an actress about how Betty progressed throughout the show, because as she progresses later into the later seasons, she almost takes even more abuse sometimes, I feel like emotionally, when she's not with Dawn. Yeah, well, she just doesn't, she's also just doesn't handle situations well. She's not emotionally mature in any way. And
the decision, she always is trying to, I mean, you got to give her credit. She's always trying to make her life better. She doesn't want to be unhappy. She's trying to, she divorces Don, tries to marry a guy that she thinks will make her happy. She's still not happy. She eats, that doesn't make her happy. I mean, she's
gets
always
a raw
trying.
ending.
Yeah, but I loved, Matthew came to me with that ending way before, and I was like, wait, so Betty's the only one that kicks it? And then I realized that that's the best gift he ever could have given me, because for me, emotionally, for January, it was such a clear ending and such a full circle for that character that I just felt that her journey was the most, she went through the most, and it ended in the most kind of poetic way.
It's the most heartbreaking journey, I think, of the show.
It's life, man, you know? I don't know.
So you
I don't want to sound like old and bitter, but
So you
yeah.
you are possibly I wouldn't say a pessimist, but you see the dark and the light yourself.
I'm 100% an optimist, but I understand that life, and Matthew does as well, and he constantly frustrated the audience with that. He never wrapped anyone's story up in a little bow. Maybe Don a little bit in the end, and Peggy, but
well, Don's
who
ending
knows?
is so cynical, and you know.
Yeah, and you know, he's just gonna keep being Don, which is sad. I feel like for Betty, at least she got to come to terms with all the things. She had her goodbye to Don and realized, you know, that there's still love there. And the Sally relationship was beautiful. The kids are going with, you know, Henry, and I just felt like hers was beautiful.
Yeah. I think someone once said that true optimists live inside the darkness a lot of the time, because you have to sort of propel yourself every day to see that there's light on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe I just watched Pollyanna too much as a kid. I just feel like it's just a change of attitude usually, because there are characters that I embody, or days when I'm feeling personally down, where if you just change your outlook on a situation or your attitude, and also playing a character that is dark all day long, there has to be a switcheroo in the traffic on the way home. Before you get home, you can't carry stuff with you, or you try not to. And it's a muscle, it's a skill that I've kind of gotten better at.
How do you apply that to the character in Last Man on Earth? I know it's a comedy all the time, but even when you're doing comedy, you have to find some sort of grounding in reality. Because even the scene that we just watched, there's a darkness to what she's doing in those moments.
Well, I feel the Melissa character is sort of the audience member. I mean, she's the one that's seeing everything, and she's like, are we really listening to this guy like talk about farts or whatever it is, or masturbating?
Is that how January is on set too?
Kind of. Yes. I mean, I laugh a lot more than Melissa. Melissa's like, no, she's not having it. But I feel like it was so close to my dry sense of humor and the way I would handle things that I started to feel a little weirded out. Like, am I even playing a character? So I sort of encouraged the writers to give me weirder stuff to do, just so I could have more fun with when she becomes a little crazy, or stuff like that. It's just super off.
So you're great in that scene. I don't think I've ever seen you do anything that off, kind of like that. It's really funny.
It feels good. It felt good to do. Yeah. So I hope they take her off the meds more.
After 2 or 3 seasons, do you end up talking to Will about what you want to do with your character, or what you would like to see and what you'd sort of like to try to do? I know with Matthew, you probably couldn't do that as much.
Well, a couple times with Matthew, he would run stuff by me if it was something what he thought, because there's no one else that knew the characters better than he and the person that was playing the character. Right. So he would definitely run stuff by us and tell us stuff in advance, or what do you think about this? Or I would never be afraid to go to him and say, is she really going to do that, or is that really happening? So but I would never fix any of the writing or
you would just be like
pitch ideas to him. No.
Like, do you mind explaining to me how I get there, so I can get there?
What do you mean?
Wait, when you talk to Matthew, I mean, like, those are the kind of conversations.
Right. Well, there was something like the end of the season 2 where Betty goes into the bar and just sleeps with another guy, and I just felt that I just couldn't wrap my head around that. And when he explained to me, like, she's pregnant, the Cuban Missile Crisis, she might be dying, there's no consequences. She's just being a physical person, just like any other human being, man, whoever it is. She has sex, doesn't mean anything. She goes home and eats chicken, and you never see Betty eat, except in the one season. And so that made more, just laying it out like that made sense to me. And I wasn't, because I think I was judging her when I was asking him. I was like, what? Like, she's so mad at Dawn for cheating. Why is she going to go and cheat? Like, that seems so juvenile. But, and A, she is juvenile, and B, that's not where her head's at. So just things like that would be explained. And with The Last Man on Earth, they ask us all the time if we have, we're free to improv if we want and pitch ideas. So yeah, we get a lot of input, actually.
Do you enjoy improvising when the chance arises?
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. And when we're all kind of doing it, it's so fun to bounce off of each other. I mean, it's like play. I mean, you do improv classes when you're young, and it's just some of the best stuff comes out of that. But the scripts don't need it. I mean, we have an amazing team of writers, and but it is fun if we have time. Again, it's a television show, so we're always crunched for time. But if the director is like keeps rolling, some really weird stuff happens sometimes.
Mary Steenburgen has always been one of my favorite actresses. I think going back to Melvin and Howard, the Jonathan Demme movie that she did, that she's amazing. And what has it been like to work with her?
She's my favorite person ever.
I interviewed her once. She was kind of my favorite person ever too.
She and Ted, I just went on a family vacation to Kauai last week.
With the two of them?
No, with my family.
Oh.
My parents and sisters and our kids and and everything. And Mary's like, Ted and I are going to come the same time and rent a house, so you'll just come over to dinner. I'm like, nice. And then Forte's like, yeah, me and some of the writers are going to rent a house too. We'll all go at the same time. And for a lot of people, it's like, really, all my work colleagues are going to come vacation? Like, get a life. But we all get along so well. And she's just the most generous, without fail, every Sunday or whenever she has a chance to watch it, she'll text and be like, oh my God, in this scene you did this, and it was so good.
Oh, wow.
She's just an amazing human, and so always eager to learn. She's just continued to have this childlike curiosity about everything, and my only complaint is that we can't be in a scene together with a straight face very easily. Like, if I get going or she gets going, we giggle so hard that we get in trouble. Like, we have to be sent out into the hall sometimes.
I was so impressed with her when I interviewed her because I complimented her son, who's a very good director. I was like, your
Charlie.
son's a very good director. And she said, thanks, he's also a really good person, and that's what makes me happy. And I was like, oh, that's so nice of you. Wow, what a nice thing to say.
Yeah, she's a great mom. She's a great grandmother. She's a great friend. It's like, stop.
So
She
basically,
makes us all look bad.
So basically everybody on set really loves each other and
Yeah.
hangs out together and has a great time.
I've been really lucky. Yeah, both the shows I've done, I can't say a bad thing about anyone. I mean, maybe little things, the farting or,
Well,
he
farts all the time.
Yeah, no. I've been super, super #blessed.
You said at the beginning of the interview that there's been a lot of stuff that gets cut. Has there been anything that you loved doing or that was so beyond the pale that unfortunately got cut?
I can't think of anything comedic that was, but there was a scene where Melvin and I think it was last season, where we're on opposite sides of a two-way mirror when he has to lock Melissa up, and he's super sad about it, and she's screaming to be let out because she doesn't know why she's freaking out. She doesn't know where she is or why she's being locked up. And we spent a few hours on that scene, and I was in a room by myself looking at my own reflection because the camera was on the other side. So I'm like screaming and bawling and like pouring my guts out into the scene. And Melvin on the other side was doing the same, except quietly. He's like sitting against the wall, tears, camera on him. And by the end of it, we're like hugging and like, good job, man. He's like, yeah, that was, woo. Because I was screaming, crying. And when we saw the episode, I texted him and I was like, did you see that? He's like, yeah, I got cut into like a little montage with music. And I was like Fox, it needed to be less not funny, maybe. And that was cut way down. I was like, whoa, So that was sad.
I saw that in a movie recently where someone was doing like a big emotional scene.
Yeah.
And they cut it into like a montage, or at least, they removed the sound and put music over it. And I was like, God, that poor actor. They worked so hard on this moment and it's been removed. Yeah,
it makes you not want to work that hard on those scenes again. It's like, I'll just have the fake tears, please. Right. I don't know.
It makes you kind of want to get there and be like, so wait, are you going to use this?
Are we going to use this? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's always good to give 100%, but it's disappointing when the scene still worked great.
Yeah. I'm curious.
And it was way funnier and less sad.
I'm always curious when someone is part of a project like Mad Men that will be canon, and in 20 years people will talk about Mad Men, and you'll do an interview and you'll probably be in some movie that's nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards, and the person interviewing you will still be like, do you miss the cast of Mad Men?
Right.
What is that like?
I will say that I struggled with that a little bit right after it ended, because we had wrapped the final season, and the final season won't have aired for another year, but we had finished work on it, so I was auditioning for other things or reading other things, looking for my next project. And I kept getting scripts for someone in the 60s or scripts for some victimized woman with a bunch of kids. And I was like, people are just gonna know me as Betty forever. And are these my options now? And I was at a dinner party, and not to drop names, but Jack Nicholson was there. And I was talking, he's kind of been someone I bounced ideas off of for a while. I did a movie with him a long time ago.
What movie was that?
Anger Management.
Right.
And I said, God, I basically said that whole spiel, I'm just going to be remembered for that character, I guess. And he looked at me and he goes, and is that the worst thing? He's like, do you think that I don't have the same problem? He's like, people either remember me from that scene from The Shining or The Joker, and he named off all these Academy Award-winning roles. And I'm like, oh, poor you,
The Shining,
Jack.
Joker, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, As Good as It Gets. There's 10 movies.
And I'm like, you can't tell me you're having a hard time finding scripts. And he's like, I am. I'm like, okay, whatever. But just saying that did help me, though. It just helped me, I can still work and do different things that might be different, but it's never going to be as big of a struggle as it was before I did that show. And being remembered as her, which would probably be my, the most special career opportunity I've ever been given, just because of how many places she was taken. If I'm always remembered as her, it's not a bad thing.
Absolutely. Let's get some questions from our audience. What do we have here?
Hi.
Hi.
So I loved you as Betty Draper.
Thank you.
I'm wondering what kind of emotional preparation do you have to kind of go through to drop into that character?
Well, I will say, the first season when there was all those scenes where she was going to the therapist, and there were just scenes of monologues, basically, because the doctor never says anything back. Those scenes I had to get all the words basically overnight, because we didn't get the scripts in advance. I'd have to record myself saying the words, just monotone, and just listen to them overnight in the car, in hair and makeup, just so if I could try to get them to stick like a bad song, just so that I could, when the time came, think about the emotional aspect of it, not have to worry about the words. And then at the beginning of every season, I think all of us got nervous about playing the character again, trying to remember and bring what we had brought. But after a while, I could drop into her pretty quickly. I mean, I changed a bunch of stuff physically for her. I stood differently, I walked differently, I smoked differently, I did a lot of different, I lowered my voice, I lowered my register. So those physical things made it easier for me to just kind of snap into her. And the clothes always helped, of course, the wardrobe and stuff.
I think we have time for one more, right here.
Hi, January.
Hi.
I've been a fan of yours, Anger Management and X-Men. And,
awesome.
Yeah, my question is, if you had a chance once in your lifetime to be in a reality show, what show would it be?
I think I've talked about this, haven't I? It'd be The Bachelor.
Oh, are you a Bachelor fan?
I'm a big Bachelor fan. But I don't know if I'd want to be the Bachelorette or a contestant. And there was a dark time in my life a couple years ago when I was watching The Bachelor by myself on glass, like number 2 of wine or 3 maybe. And I called my publicist and was like, so what would happen to my career if I like auditioned for The Bachelorette or whatever? And she shut it down very quickly. But I was like, but what if I wore like a prosthetic nose and like no one knew? And she's like, no. But yeah.
I could have heard that phone call. That phone call sounds amazing.
I think it was a text, but she called just to make sure. She's like, no. So
January, everything okay?
yeah. No, I love that show. But to be, also I went to one of those dojo boom places, those trampoline, those like crazy, what's it, American Ninja Warrior places the other day with my kid. Amazing. And I love watching that as well. But I would not get very far.
Guilty pleasure for American Ninja Warrior.
Oh, it's so hard.
Oh, did you try it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I got nowhere.
Do you remember what?
First of all, do they put like grips on their hands? How did they get down like the plexiglass thing that's going like this? I was like, I'm still sore, like my neck. Yeah, it's so fun though.
Do you remember what obstacles you got the chance to try?
Yeah, it had trapeze into foam, and then it started with like rings, and then this climbing thing that you go to these plexiglass things that are like slanted up and down, and then there's a rope thing, and then you have to go shimmy down and then go up again, and then jump across this thing that like you go like the forget it.
Oh, yeah, I know
far.
that one.
You've seen the show. It was like
many times.
One of the guys who won that show created this place. It's in California. Amazing. Check it out. Get hurt.
January, the Last Man on Earth is one of the funniest shows on television.
Thanks.
Congratulations. It's on Fox. What night is it on Fox?
Sunday night.
Sunday nights. Everyone, please give January Jones a round of applause. Let's hear it.